This video is sponsored by nobody. But if you'd like to donate actual human money to this channel, I've got a Ko-fi link in the description below. You won't be missing out on any bonus content if you don't donate. It's just there for people who want to support the channel in that way. Now onto the video. This is the second draft of Diaries of a Beginner Part 7. I got 1,500 words into the first draft before stopping everything to make the Zapdos video that all of my new subscribers have come from. So before I get any further into the video, I want to explain what this is. Diaries of a Beginner chronicles my attempt to learn Guilty Gear X2 Accent Core plus R, the first fighting game I've ever tried to get good at with real intent. This series also exists because I wanted to show people that fighting games can be fun regardless of your skill level. You don't need to be good to enjoy them. The biggest challenge is approaching them with the right mindset. But even with the right mindset, fighting games can be incredibly frustrating at times. There was a tweet that kinda blew up on FGC Twitter a few weeks ago, which asked why more people don't play fighting games. I made a really long thread in response to it, which I'll link in the pinned comment if you want to read it, but the gist of it talked about fighting games offering the player little to do if they're not focused on getting better at playing against other real people. Side note, 99% of them suck at teaching you how to get good anyways and force you to go looking for community-made resources which may or may not even exist depending on the game, but that's a story for another time. I'll extend this question to all of you new viewers before going any further. Why do you think more people aren't playing fighting games? The FGC tends to have tunnel vision on this topic, so some outside perspectives would be nice to hear. The game you're seeing me play, Guilty Gear plus R, is actually an exception to my summarized criticism, as it offers a handful of different modes for you to play without ever having to go online. It routinely goes on sale on Steam for $2.99 and can run on just about any PC. But Plus R isn't exempt from feeling like a grind at times. Even with me having tried to tailor my perspective to not care about wins and losses, losing a bunch will still grind me down because match outcome is the only metric fighting games show you. I am at the worst stage for this. Not bad enough to not understand what I should do most of the time, but not good enough to actually do it. I feel like this stage in my learning journey would be a lot more fun if there were secondary challenges that the game could give me credit for completing, even if I failed to win the match. They could be challenges the game sets for me, or challenges I'm able to set for myself that the game then tracks. I think we underestimate how much some positive reinforcement can lessen the drag of a loss. Speaking of losses, I spent all of November and most of December drowning in the letter L. I think my best record in 7 weeks was 4-25, and there were multiple days where I lost 20 plus matches without winning a single one. It became really frustrating because I began to battle myself just as much, if not more, than I was battling my opponent. For a short while, I started resenting the game, which I don't think would have occurred if I was able to get a few props from it for accomplishing a challenge or two in even 25% of the matches I played. The Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm games would do this with their story mode matches, giving the player challenges that encourage them to try out more of the game's mechanics. And I hope that some fighting game chooses to implement that for online matches too. With Axel, I'd probably set my challenges to be land crouching slash twice per round, land Hachisabaku once per match, and do one Roman cancel per every 3 matches played. Because I know I'll get a little congrats from the game if I accomplish any of these, I'd be more inclined to try to land those moves purely because my monkey brain likes being told nice things. I'm glad I took time away from this script to work on the Zapdos video. Not only is the Zapdos video doing amazingly, it also gave me more time to think about what was going on with my play and let the rough patches smooth out some. 2 days before I put out the Zapdos video, I had a session against an Order Soul player that reminded me why I love playing Plus R. Earlier subscribers know that I have a weird relationship with Order Soul. Originally one of the characters I most hated to face, I've gone up against them so often that it's kinda become a comfort matchup. All of my slumps in Plus R have been ended by really fun sets against the character, and this is no different. Across 10 matches, we split things 5-5 before I had to go. It is the most fun I've had playing Guilty Gear yet. They took the first 2 matches in a pretty decisive 4-round sweep, but I kept playing them because I felt like we were of similar skill, and I wanted to see if I could adapt my play to take a few games off of them. Turns out I could, and we had some really tight rounds across the next 8 games that gave me a more positive outlook on the player I could potentially be more consistently. Those games also reminded me of something covered in a book I'm reading called The Captain Class, which I picked up purely because it has Tim Duncan on the cover. Early in the book, when questioning what makes a team in sports good enough to accomplish historic feats, author Sam Walker talks about a study on talent cluster theory. The idea that the more skill members of a group have, the better they'll perform. And while that is true up to a point, what caught me as being the most interesting is that groups with lower overall skill were able to perform much better than groups led by a single person whose skill was considerably higher than those around them. The researchers noted how groups with smaller skill gaps were more likely to discuss and share ideas, leading to more correct answers, than groups with large skill gaps who defer to their highest skilled member more times than not. Now, how is this applicable to Guilty Gear? Because at least in my case, I thought that playing against better players would make me better at a faster rate than playing against people around my skill level, because I'd be pushed harder. That has proven to be the furthest thing from true, and I should have been able to see this coming from a mile away. It makes me feel really dumb, because I've taught people. I was a martial arts instructor for 8 years and care about the methods of teaching when it comes to other people. I would never put a white belt against a black belt and say that's the best way they're going to learn how to spar. The lesson with the book, and with the Order Soul set, is pretty fundamental. When paired with someone around your skill level, you get more chances to make meaningful decisions, to experiment, to learn, and to make mistakes without it costing you much. Whereas if I make a mistake against someone much better than me, it costs me anywhere from 40 to 70% of my health bar. The solution to this is obvious. Find someone around my skill level to be a training partner of sorts. That's a great idea, and I'd recommend it to new players. But given that my biggest vice is being a hermit who hates obligation, it's not advice I'll take. What I'll do instead is be more picky about who I play matches with online. Instead of constantly rematching someone who's stomping me, I'll try to find someone else in the lobby who I can keep things competitive with. In the last Diaries video, I mentioned KRC Pinto's Secret Sauce series. Watching his interview with Digital Watches got me trying to vary up my approach options on different attacks. I'm comfortable with my root combo and the few adjustments to it that I went over in the combo video, so it felt like a smart move to add some more things there. This has mainly involved going into 6H off of 2H and 3P, and has forced me to be more aware of holding down versus holding down back. If I'm holding down back, I can't immediately go into 6H because holding back charges some of Axel's special moves, one of which is activated by then pressing forward plus H. There are a bunch of instances where I've wanted to go into 6H and instead gotten Rashosen, Axel's charge move with Heavy Slash. This is pushing me to improve my controller awareness and hand dexterity. It's adding more to my current mental stack in-game, but it'll eventually become second nature in the same way my root combo has. Another thing that's done me great is watching matches of O2, a premier Plus R Axel player. This came from advice given to me by a Dizzy player I follow on Twitter. She linked me to a site that hosts a bunch of Plus R replay files that you can download to your PC and play in your own copy of the game. This did a lot to help me, partly because of how incredible Plus R's replay viewer is. But I'll start with the basics. When watching O2, it struck me how little they'd end up getting comboed by their opponents. Their spacing is incredible, and it's something I really want to get better at. Seeing them punish jumps with 2S has reinforced how I need to use that move more often, and the same applies to Hachisabaku in other spots. But it wasn't until after a few more sessions of watching them, after my brain was fried from a long day and I wasn't trying to think too deeply, that I started to get more out of it. I was too tired to watch like a student studying, but still wanted to find something I could take away from these matches. One aspect of fighting games that I've tried to be good at is what I do on round start. What move do I make when the game has just begun? Up to this point, I've tried to swing for early home runs, going for Axel's parries, heavy slash Rensen if I think they're going to jump, or Hachisabaku. I wanted to see how a player much better than me handled this exact same situation. What I began to notice was how basic O2 started each round. Far slash, standing kick, maybe a backdash, never anything you'd consider a call out or the home run stuff I tried to go for. Recognizing this has altered the way I approach Plus R in general. Him not getting comboed often is connected to the basic way he starts each round. O2 seems to play pretty safe, which in combination with his great spacing, makes him hard to hit and allows him to land the hits he wants to. I've been trying to emulate this in my play as of late, playing slower and safer and far less erratic. This is best seen in those Order Soul matches I mentioned earlier. I felt like I paced myself so well in the later matches of that set because of how I was trying to emulate how O2 played at a level that's functional for where I'm at. Another thing his replays have helped me with is learning how to super jump cancel off of Axel's 2S. This is a crucial cancel for Axel players to learn, as it lets you fully combo off of Axel's amazing anti-air options. I've been trying to learn it since I began this series, and only after going into O2's replays and watching his inputs frame by frame, did I finally start getting it in practice with any degree of consistency. That's right, Plus R lets you go frame by frame in any replay file and see the player's exact inputs. This, along with its replay takeover feature, make it a replay viewer that's yet to be topped in fighting games in terms of helpfulness. The advice from that Dizzy player has helped me in a lot of significant ways. On a broader scale, it's representative of why I'm still playing Plus R. I've gotten really frustrated with this game more than a few times, but the support this series has gotten from them, all of you in the comments, and the Cliff player you're seeing me get destroyed by currently, that's a big part of what's kept me playing. The other reason I'm still playing Plus R is because I recognize its importance to me in the long term. Once I crack this code, every other fighting game is going to be easier to learn and more fun to play. I really do want to reach that chess match flow state with this game. I've hit it in other things before. I finally hit it in Pokemon a few years ago, and it's been a blast since. I hit that flow state with Naruto to Boruto Shinobi Striker, and became one of the game's better players for a little while. But damn, the losses that pave the roads to get there will test you. And I say this as someone who can swallow L's like they're alphabet soup. For the time being, I'm gonna work on further implementing a slower, safer style of play. At the same time, I'll continue to work on motion inputs. My Shoryuken input specifically is hilariously inconsistent. And that'll do it for this video. In the description, I've left a few links for anyone interested in trying out Plus R. It's a great game and I'd love to see more beginners playing it. The next videos will be on Pokemon Type Wild and a look at why Skarmory has been so consistent in competitive play for so long. I'm not sure which of those videos will come first, but those are the ones I'm currently working on, along with a pro wrestling script I binge wrote yesterday. Anyways, peace.